Hi, hello, how are you? My name is Sara from Sara's Reading Nook, and today we are announcing Bookish Planuary 2021. And this is my cat Olivia, who usually likes to sit on my lap during every video. So today we are announcing Bookish Planuary. So what even is that? Kind of sounds like books and planning in January. And that's basically what it is. Before I tell you all about it, please do not forget to give a like to the video, to subscribe so that you don't miss any of our Bookish Planuary videos, and to put on a notification bell so that you get notified when we post new videos, because it's a notification bell. Alright, so let's get into what Bookish Planuary even is. So as you know, right now we are living in 2021. Currently, if you're watching this relatively, within the next 12 months. And, it's been, a long time coming. And so, Olivia and we were chatting like we always do. And we were thinking of how can we make the best of 2021 to plan out how we want, our next year to be. So Bookish Planuary is going to start from today, the day that I'm posting, which is January the 3rd, and it will run until January the 23rd. It'll be 3 weeks worth of videos. Now, I'm not going to post every day, because that would be ridiculous. For me, I'm not there yet. And Bookish Planuary is going to be 4 days a week. So in each one of the videos, I'm going to be discussing a topic that's relevant to planning bookish goals. And each week has its own theme. There is a schedule that I'm going to be posting. You can see it on our website. You can also access it through Bookstagram, and I will be posting it there. So let's go over the schedule. So week 1 is our first week of Bookish Planuary. So the topic for week 1 is bullet journals and TBRs. And there will be 3 additional videos this week, in addition to this one. So on day 2, we're going to be going over my bookish bullet journal. I'm going to show you different components of the journal, discuss what kind of bullet journal I'm using, dotted versus ruled paper, the accessories I'm going to use, and show you year and month at a glance pages. We're also going to have trackers, and I'm going to show you how I'm trying to get the most I can out of the trackers and certain trends that I want to look for, because I'm a scientist and we like our graphs. In day 3, we are going to be going over my January 2020 TBR list, so to be read list. And TBRs are very difficult for me. We're going to see how I do with this TBR for January. I have several books that I want to finish. We are constructing a very fun game that we're going to be playing, hopefully starting February. I just have to get the materials. So this will be sort of just a basic TBR video. And I would also like to do star predictions in my TBR videos, and we'll see how accurate I am during my monthly wrap up. In day 4, we're going to be going over our 2021 TBR. I have never had a year-long TBR list, but Planuary is shaping my reading quite a lot. And so there are just specific goals and milestones that I want to hit, and I'm going to show you how I sort of triage what's important, what I think will be interesting, and also how I sort of give some room in case I want to do more mood reading. So there are certain books that I do want to get to. I don't have every single book planned, but I have a roadmap. We'll see how that goes. And let me know if you are interested in TBRs. Are you more of a mood reader? Do you want to sort of experiment? That's pretty much what I'm doing with these TBRs this year. All right, so now we're on to week 2. And week 2 is bookish goal setting. And now bookish goal setting is really reinforcing what I want to get out of my reading year. So there are 4 videos set for the bookish goal setting week. So we're going to start with day 5, which is how to read more in 2021. That's always a question, isn't it? It's something that I always look into. In addition to how I want to read more, I'm even going to be talking about, why should we think about reading more? Why is it such a central component in all of our, reading goal discussions? some fundamentals that I will be discussing here are how to read consistently. I did a pretty in-depth Instagram survey, and reading consistently was something that so many people wanted to do, in addition to, reading more. But you'll kind of see that reading more consistently can also help you read more in general. The pros and cons of choosing different book sizes, and how I feel about using smaller books versus larger books to achieve these goals. Do I do that myself? Are there pros and cons to doing that? Perhaps. Audiobooks. How can we use audiobooks to read more? Should we be more inclusive of including audiobooks? Yes, I think so. And I'm going to be discussing that as well. Graphic novels, poetry books, those sorts of things. And then I'm going to be talking about how to read more by getting through reading slumps, being okay, if during a month you don't read at all, and really how important self-care is, and how self-care really is one of the ultimate goals to incorporate into your reading routine, how to prevent burnout and that sort of thing. Day 6 is going to be why I aim to read a book every single week. I'll be discussing, where I got the idea to do that, what the pros and what the cons are of reading a book a week, because there are some cons, how this ties into my reading challenge, and what the benefits are of reading frequently in terms of, personal development, education, enjoyment, etc. Day 7 is going to be my 2021 morning routine. So I'm going to show you how I can accomplish reading early in the morning while doing other tasks. During a work week, what I use to sort of center myself in the morning, and also how I actually kind of became a morning person, which I never thought in a million years would happen. None of my teachers would say, oh, Sarah's going to become a morning person. No. But I am. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Now in day 8, we are talking about 2021 Bookish Goals. This is the big one. I'm going to be talking about qualitative and quantitative methods. Now, how do I describe this? Quantitative measures that I am putting in are going to be like what my numerical reading goal is. How many books do I want to read this entire year? How many books do I want to average a week, a month, etc.? What readathons I'm interested in doing, how many books I want to read during those readathons, how many books I'll be reading during read-alongs, book clubs, etc. And then I want to talk about what are different aspects of a reading routine that you look at for quality. For instance, selecting books that you think you will enjoy, reading diversely, which is a huge one that I am going to incorporate into 2021. And I'll discuss that, the importance of doing that, and also link so many different creators, their opinions. So there have been so many different amazing booktube videos, Bookish Realm, etc. And now also a huge thing is subjects to learn about. I get asked all the time about nonfiction, why I read so much nonfiction, and really it's because I love to learn. Okay, so now we are on to week 3, and week 3 is bookish productivity tracking and apps. Again, 4 videos. And now this is a week where, we've already defined what our reading goals are, but how do we keep ourselves accountable? Instead of just saying reading diversely, how do we measure if our reading actually is diversive? Is there a way to track this? And, of course there is, and I have some different ideas just to ensure that we are hitting these sort of milestones. So day 9 specifically is how to track reading goals. And again, my sciencey mind likes to divide things into quantitative methods and qualitative methods. So our quantitative methods are going to be using numerical sort of values to see, okay, we want to read a book a week. Are we actually averaging that? Are we reading a book a month? How many books do we read in a year? So we're going to be talking about how we can measure whether or not we are progressing and being productive. So some of our qualitative methods that we can use are recording different observations that we are seeing, and perhaps recording in a journal, for instance, what our observations are. And I'm going to be showing, what sort of observations that I take in a reading journal. Reading wrap-ups are something that are really interesting to go back on and to see, what was my evolution of thought about this topic as I read more into it throughout the year, throughout the month, etc. I'm also going to talk about how you can track other sort of measures. So for instance, if you want to measure how productive you are, how you can do that. A big reading goal that I have is to track self-care as well. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to be trying to relate self-care measures such as meditation with productivity. I learned over the years that work, that doesn't lead to success for me. Having breaks are so important, and I really want to emphasize that in this video. And I also want to emphasize that it's incredibly important to take care of yourself. Goal setting is important, but it doesn't define who you are. I want to emphasize that these are all sort of ideas and methods and things you can incorporate into your routine so that you can get what you want out of your reading year. But in the end, all of this tracking, all of these measures are made to supplement your year. And so I do want to stress that and stress how important things like meditation are, self-care, exercise, getting enough sleep, etc., and why it's important not to compromise on your value system in order to achieve goals. So next, we are going to do day 10, which is how my reading tastes have changed over time. And this is going to go from like a chronological order, so like what I liked as a kid versus as a teenager versus as a college student versus as a graduate student, etc., and how I felt in the last few years since joining the Bookish community online. And I'm going to address the question, has BookTube and has Bookstagram, have they altered the way that I perceive my reading? Have they altered my tastes? And by me showing you how, my reading tastes have changed, hopefully it will give you some ideas of how you can see how your reading taste has changed as well. I always think that those sort of things are super interesting and super fun. In day 11, we're going to be going over all of my favorite Bookish apps. And now day 10 and day 11, as voted by you all on Bookstagram, had a lot of interest in. And I can see why. There are so many here to start with, and there are some that I am exploring and some that I am trying out, just so that I can give you a full detailed list. And I'm also going to be going over those, productivity trackers in more detail, the meditation podcasts and applications that are really important to use. And my hope is that you will really see that having a journal and having, a reader journal, they are really important to have, but they only exhaust a certain amount of opportunities for you. In order to maximize efficiency, I find also supplementing with apps really important. I'm going to talk about all of that in that video. And now day 12 is going to be a big one. It's going to be Storygraph versus Goodreads. My honest thoughts. So of course I'm going to go over the features of both, more so with Storygraph because I think that many people are familiar with Goodreads, what the pros versus cons are of the different features, and how they compare and contrast to one another, how I use Storygraph, which my username is Sara's Reading Nook, by the way. And I would love to have you follow me and also let me know if you are using Storygraph below. And the big question, which is, what is my ultimate decision? Will I use Storygraph? Will I use it exclusively? Will I stop using Goodreads entirely? We're gonna find out. So those are the different days, and I do have a calendar, and I do have a list of all the days and all the dates of the upload schedules. I'm going to be pairing my blog posts with as many of these videos as I can so that you can have a written record, because I know things like tips and that, I really like to have a written record that I can just sort of copy and paste or print and keep with me. So let's go over the Bookish Planuary schedule. So here, what I have is I have my Bookish Planuary schedule. So it has the day, the video topic, and also the date of upload. It separates it out into weeks 1, 2, and 3. It gives the time of Bookish Planuary, our website, which you can go back to at any time if you want to go back to any of the information that I've given. For instance, this entire video will be in blog post format, and I'll link that below. So don't worry about writing meticulous notes or anything like that. It's going to be in the blog post. And so if you know others who would be interested in this video and Bookish Planuary in general, this is new. This is the first year it's ever happened. So I would really appreciate it if you could share this schedule with others on Instagram, on your social media platform, etc. And hopefully that will help get the word out to others. We also have a calendar. So I have the calendar in sort of an Instagram story format. The text is a little bit small, though it was difficult to try and get it, an appropriate size. So hopefully the list will help if reading the calendar is difficult for you. And again, feel free to share that. And really this gets into the next question, which is, how can I participate in Bookish Planuary? So I would honestly love if you would join and if you would watch the videos. The first way to really participate is to, share your interests on social media and to follow along with our progress tracker. Okay, let's go over this progress tracker. And of course there's a progress tracker because Planuary is all about these goals, this tracking, all of that kind of stuff. So in our progress tracker, we have 9 squares. And they more or less follow what we are going to be doing during Bookish Planuary. And as you go through, as you watch the videos, as you go through the month of January, you can tick off the little boxes beneath once you have completed one of the squares. There's 9 in total. You absolutely do not have to tick off every single progress tracker. And in fact, we do have 3 different tiers. The first is 1 to 3 boxes checked off. You are a Bookish Planuary apprentice, and you are jumpstarting your bookish year. In tier 2, this is 4 to 6 boxes checked off, and that means that you are a Bookish Planuary expert. You've really got this thing down. And tier 3 is 7 to 9 boxes checked off, which means you are a Bookish Planuary master, and I want to be learning from you. And so another way to participate is to create your own Bookish Planuary videos. So if you are following our schedule or a similar one, I would love it if you referred back to us at Sara's Reading Nook, back to myself and Olivia. This has been, a decent amount of work, and I really love to share it with you all. So if you do make your own Bookish Planuary videos, then please DM me or tag me or let me know in some sort of way, because I want to learn from you as well. Myself and Olivia would love to see the type of ideas that you come up with. So that is essentially everything. I hope that this gives you something interesting to look at, hopefully gives a few different ideas of how to use January and how to sort of craft a bookish year that makes you happy and that ticks off some of your boxes. Of course, the ultimate measure of success is going to be looking back after the entire year and seeing what your bookish goals were and how you incorporated them. Because I find that there is so much emphasis on what the goals should be, like read more, drink more water, etc. But it's difficult to measure how successful we are at doing this. And I hope that this gives some ideas at the very end of how we can actually measure our goals and how to keep pushing forward and take care of ourselves along the way. So Olivia and we are going to go for now. Olivia is my supervisor, and she also really helps with my self-care component. So I'm going to be discussing a few ideas with her. Again, please give a like if you like this video, subscribe, all those things, and let me know down below what are some things that you would like to see during Bookish Planuary. Will you be participating? And how will you be participating? I would love to know all those things. And my Portuguese word of the day. The Portuguese word of the day is calças. Calças. Calças are pants or trousers. That's everything for today. Bye!